I'm the only one on the team who was a senior, so everybody else was older. But I was still still able to be involved in my chapter. Like I was still chapter. Was our vice president, did a lot of the work, because with state office, like you're going to be more busy than what you think you will be, because I definitely was. And I was also a part of ROTC, and I really didn't get to do a lot of ROTC things because of state office. But specifically talking about my FFA chapter, then yeah, I did get to be a part. Like I went to all the practices. I was like the teacher for our forestry team, so I got to teach them. Like I still had a lot of the same experiences and things that I feel like any other senior in high school would be. But you also have to know that you're physically or like as much as you would be if you weren't a state officer. Because sometimes I would get really down on myself because I would really get down on myself and, you know, say, oh, well, I feel so bad because I didn't get to go to this, or I didn't get to go to this because of state office, or, you know, I'm working hard on this workshop and I can't focus on this for my chapter. But you really have to not get down on yourself, because your advisors and, you know, people like Gracie who are chapter officers and everything, like they understand what you're going through and they know that you're probably going to be busier than what you think you are. So just remember to, you know, not get down on your to be involved. I planned some of our events. Like we did a cornhole tournament that me and Trevor went to. We got to do that. I did chapter visits there with Jaden. So like I would say it's still basically the same thing, but you will have some moments that you'll probably have to miss out on because you are a state officer while a senior.
For me, I was also a senior my first year as a state officer. I was on the team with Sarah last year. I was elected to be chapter president, and we had a very busy year, and so I was still able to do everything with my chapter. I was still able to compete in the horse evaluation CDE, prepared public speaking, and stuff. So you are able to do it. It's just a lot, especially with as active as our chapter is. It was a lot trying to keep those activities organized, but it was definitely a lot easier to balance since it's high school rather than college as well. So I can also say that. But yes, I was still able to be involved in my own chapter.
Okay, two more questions. Madeline is asking, are we allowed to join sororities or fraternities while being a state officer? I don't think any of the current state officer team is involved in Greek life, right?
Dakota is.
Oh, okay, go ahead, Dakota.
Yes, you can be in a sorority or fraternity, but it's all up to you. Like if you go out and party and put it on social media, then you will have consequences, and we don't really want that. But it's up to you to determine yourself what you are going to do in that sorority and fraternity. And they have the negative connotation of being bad and going to downtown and partying and all this, but it's up to you to say, no, I'm not going to do that. I have priorities. I have things that I need to take care of. So you can take away the benefits of a sorority and a fraternity without getting involved in the negative parts of Greek life.
Thanks, Dakota. Our last question is from JC. Can you give any advice on someone who is running for state office for the very first time?
Be yourself. That's the best advice I can give, is just be yourself. Go in there and be you.
Yeah, like Matt's saying, like there's no one else that is you. There's no one else that can be you. The best person you can be is you. When you're going through the process, you don't want to be anybody else, because then you don't get to show your true self and your true colors to the nominating committee. And if you try and be, I guess you could say, artificial and not personable, it won't benefit you in the long run, because you're just not being you. The best thing you can do is to be 100% authentic and unique, because that's just what the nom-com's looking for.
Another thing is, my advisor, she made me sit down one day and write down on a note card why or what was my purpose, like what for myself, why I wanted to run for state officer. And she made me put in my jacket, and if I'd freak out or something, I'd look at my note cards for read my purpose, and it would remind me on why I wanted to do it, so I wouldn't freak out that much or wouldn't give up on myself during the process.
You know, I think kind of piggybacking off Zach, and Zach can also, I think, attest to this. Being someone who sat on NomCom and also went through NomCom, I can really say the most important thing that you can do is like Zach said, be genuine. Being a member, sitting on the other side of the table, look at, talking to state officer candidates, you can see right through a fake personality. And when I'm saying it's easy, like you can point it out in seconds. So just go in there and be genuine. And my second thing would be, if you're going to go in, make sure you're well educated on all the topics you talk on. A lot of the personable topics are personal and it's just being genuine. But when you're going to talk about some of your other topics, make sure if you're going to throw out a number that it's a number that you know is true, because there's nothing that looks worse than throwing out a number that's an inaccurate number and NomCom can point it out. You're better off just not putting it there. So just making sure that if you're going to state a fact, make sure it is a fact, and just be genuine to NomCom.
Also,
It's also important. Oh, my bad, Jaden. You can go.
Also, don't stress yourself out. It's not worth it going in your room crying every night because you feel like you did bad. There are going to be some moments where you feel like you did really bad and that you sucked, and that's okay. I know for me, there was one round where, wow, I did bad. But me and my advisor made the executive decision not to talk about NomCom at all for the whole weekend and not to practice the whole weekend. And obviously for some people that doesn't work. But I know for me, if I would have worried about all these questions and all the answers, I would have pulled all my hair out and been bald headed by the time I got on stage. And it's not worth it. Just have fun. It is fun when you have fun. I know in the holding room, all of us had a lot of fun when we were waiting and playing games and stuff. So just focus on that. And that way you'll be able to be more genuine if you aren't stressed.
It's also important to know to keep the mindset that if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. You can't control something that's out of your control. You have to keep the mindset that you have to just do the best you can, and that's that. You can't do anything. Once you can't worry about a past round, like Jaden was saying. Like you might walk out of a round, you're like, oh wow, like that was like a plane crashing, and it was just horrible. But like you can't change what you said now. The only thing you can focus on is what's in front of you, and that's just. It's a way to also keep your stress down. Bouncing off of a past question is to just focus on what's ahead of you and not what's behind you, and always keep the mindset that if it's going to happen, it's going to happen, and you have nothing to lose if you don't get it.
Thank you, state officers, for coming and answering our questions. I'm going to plug some helpful something helpful that you can do. Our state officers, some of them have put on some virtual leadership workshops that is open to all members. I know a couple of you have gone. I think those are going to be continued to put on. Please go to those workshops that are put on by our state officers. I mean, these guys, they were elected, so I think going to those workshops, even if you're in your sweatpants on your couch, could be really fun and also really beneficial to looking at traits that our state leadership needs. So go to those workshops. We want to see you there. I don't know when the next one is, but we'll keep you updated. So state officers, if you want to stay on for the rest of the party or if you have stuff to do, you can log off unless Mr. Lejeune has anything else.
Just FYI, me and Tristan are holding fireside chat Sunday. Tristan, I think we decided it was gonna be like at 7-ish p.m.
Yeah,
something like that.
that's right.
So if you guys want to hop in there, it's gonna be on our YouTube live. So stay tuned for that.
Also,
Yeah.
oh, I want to say something.
We will send out information for anything that state officers are putting on.
I have a YouTube channel, and I have like vlogs from leadership camp and like when I was running for state office for last state convention. doing later a question and answer from questions that I got about ILSSO if you do become a state officer and you want to learn more about that. And then I also do plan on doing another just like state officer Q&A from some questions I got a couple months ago. So those will be on my YouTube channel, hopefully within the next like month or so, if you guys want to check that out. But that's totally up to you. You can just look up Salem Johnson, and I'm sure that it would pop up on YouTube.
If you go to our state YouTube channel, it's www.youtube.com/FFA Louisiana. You can find those workshops that Sarah was referencing. In addition to virtual lessons from our teachers, we've posted new Digging Deeper interviews that our state officers have done. You know, for the state officers who are still on the call, you need to give them a virtual round of applause too, because it is not at all a happy conversation when you have to pull your state officer team onto a Zoom call and say, guys, I know we were hoping this wasn't going to happen, but our convention's not happening in June. And I know that we had been planning for 4 months for SLDC, but now I need you to move the whole thing virtual, and you can't go on chapter visits, and pretty much everything has stopped. And it would be very easy. I wouldn't blame anybody for breaking down and saying, you know what, that's it, I'm done. I quit. This is not what I signed up for. But we have 10 state officers who have stepped up to the plate and said, you know what? It's not ideal. It's not the way we envisioned it going, but it's the reality of the world we live in right now. And it's still our job as state officers to be state officers, to carry on and to keep delivering high quality programs to our members and our advisors. So, you know, everything that you've seen coming out of our state office for these past couple of months, I mean, that's been a direct reflection on the work that our state officers have been able to do in staying engaged. So I can't say enough how proud I am of them, how thankful I am for what they do. And I think all of you as state officer candidates, as advisors on this call, you need to reach out to all 10 of our state officers and just tell them how much you appreciate what they've done considering the circumstance, because Louisiana FFA is still alive and well. And I would say that we may be stronger now than we've been. Because despite, you know, we could be very negative about this situation right now, not knowing what's coming down the pipe, but to see student leadership who's still very positive about what we're doing, that's very, very wonderful to see. So I'm thankful for the 10 of you for all that you've done. All right, Sarah, I think we've got one section left.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to share the screen again, and I'll let you take off with it.
All right. Okay, this is something, again, that's new this year. You can ask either me or Caitlin. We're most excited about this. Our summer plans have also been postponed, so this is what we're looking forward to this summer. If you know, our initial officer candidate school was going to be set up for all of our candidates to be able to actually go through a mock nominating committee process and get feedback, so that going through the process in front of the actual nominating committee isn't the first time you go through the rounds. So now that it's virtual, Caitlin and I and all of our state leadership, we want to make sure that you are completely prepared as much as possible, and that we're giving you as many resources and time and energy that we can. So we have set up individual appointments with one-on-one. So it'll be one of y'all, and then me and Caitlin will also be on the call, like also on the chat. So these, at least one, is completely mandatory for all candidates. In our initial appointment, we're going to go over how your, like what device you will be using. Make sure you understand how the virtual process is going to go, the in and outs of it, your internet connection. We need that information before the process starts, so that we, during the process, can make sure, okay, they're going to be using a phone, they're going to have this internet service, some like technical aspects, and make sure we're all on the same page. That's going to be our initial appointment. Okay. Now, after that is what we're most excited for. After the initial appointment, you can set up as many as you'd like, or as few as you'd like. It's up to you, but it's open to all candidates. Practice rounds with Caitlin and myself. Caitlin has trained 2 state officer teams now, so she understands the ins and out of all leadership, nominating committee rounds. I don't think I can count. I think it's more than both of my count on both of my hands how many times I've been through the nominating committee process. So I do think that Caitlin and I can offer some pretty good feedback on our rounds. So how that's gonna look is after the initial one is just kind of like a Q&A so we can get some information. After that, we are going to, Mr. Lejeune is going to set up the scheduling somehow for you to be able to schedule. I think it's either going to be on Formsite or Doodle Poll, something like that, for you to set a time and say what you want to go over. So if you want to practice a stand and deliver, you'll say that, and then we will set up a time for us to literally give you a prompt, have you prepare it, and us listen to your speech and ask questions. We understand that this process is not ideal right now. Ideally, we would all be with you in Alexandria in a month and you could go through this process in person, but because we understand that these are different circumstances, we want to be as much of help as possible. So if you didn't know, Lsu Finals week is next week. So Caitlin and I are both LSU students and we're crammed next week. So please don't ask for an appointment until next Saturday, but we're going to send out an email with the information of how to schedule and what times. I will say Caitlin and I talked. We would rather not meet on Sunday, but it's going to be Monday through Saturday, 9:30 to 3:30 is our window, and they're going to be 30-minute appointment times. Don't need to be an official. You can be in your sweats. That's fine. If you just want us to listen, ask you some personal questions, do a mock round robin, anything, honestly, anything, we're here to help. If you're nervous about something and need someone to talk to, we're here. If you have any questions, you can put them in the chat. We're really excited about this, and practice is going to help you get there. Sorry, I was reading the chat. So that's okay. Drake asked, if we choose to practice round 5, will we do it by ourselves or would the two of y'all act as the other two candidates? That's a great question. So obviously for practice rounds, we want to make sure that each of you are doing it individually. So it wouldn't be any other candidates in there with the practice round. I think for round 5, that probably will be the most different one compared, like for practice rounds compared to how it's actually going to be. Maybe, I think how Caitlin and I talked about it, it can be up to you. If you'd like to do that by yourself and see how you can develop goals and objectives and activities, that's fine. And if you want Caitlin and I to pretend to be candidates along with you, we can do that too. It's whatever you want. If you think you need to practice more on your teamwork, we can practice that. Or if you think you need to practice more on your ideas and your creativity, we can hold back our ideas. It's whatever you really want. Instead, do we need to be against a solid wall, or does it not matter since it's practice? It does not matter. These are very informal. These are just resources that we're trying to offer you for you to practice as much as you want and have someone, me and Caitlin, listen to you. Any more questions? Mr. Lejeune, do you have anything?
I'll be sending out a link. I've got to take Sarah and Caitlin's appointment times and put them together. I'll send the link out to all of the candidates and their advisors so that you can request the meeting times. We really want you to take advantage of that. This is not something that we've done in the past. We were really excited about doing it under a normal circumstance. I think it might be even more critical now. So definitely take us up on that offer, because we want to help you be the most prepared you can be. Our ideal NOMCOM situation is that every candidate who goes through NOMCOM is super ready, super prepared. That way it can be we want the committee to have a very difficult decision to make, because you're all so good at what you do and you're so prepared for the process that you're going to make for a fantastic state officer team. So definitely reach out to us so we can help you with that.
And let me add on, Caitlin and I, whenever we do these appointments, conversations, we have no communication with the nominating committee. So whatever you do, however you perform in these practice rounds, it will have zero impact on your rounds in the nom-com. We are strictly doing this on our own time just because we enjoy, Caitlin and I were talking today, how much we enjoy helping candidates prepare and seeing people practice and get better. This is purely for us to help you. It will have no effect on your scoring or your performance at state. So if you just want to do the initial appointment, say, peace out, I'm gonna do it by myself, that's your decision. If you want to spend an entire day with us going over Stand and Delivers, we will sit there and listen to all of your speeches. So that's all I have to add.
So Sarah, I think we're getting to the end. We started at 9 o'clock and it's now 12:40. I think this is going extremely well. We were a little nervous about what it was going to look like. I think for the most part, the technology has cooperated. So that gives me a lot of confidence about running this nom-com process virtually. As we said earlier, the biggest thing I can tell you right now from a technology standpoint is just make sure you do your diligence over the next 30 days and get your technology where it needs to be. Talk with your advisors, reach out to people who can help. If you have internet issues, if you have computer issues, get it fixed. We can work with you also if you need for us to do practices. I met with a couple of candidates prior to today to test the technology. I'm more than happy to do that. Again, we're going to go use Zoom for the actual nom-com process. It's a little odd at LSU. Dr. Smith and I and the student workers all work for the LSU Ag Center, which requires the use of Microsoft Teams. But the LSU A&M campus in Baton Rouge is a separate campus from the Ag Center, and they're allowed to use Zoom. So that's why we have to use Teams right now, but Zoom is not going to, Zoom will be the much better option for the nom-com process. So we're going to use the LSU AEEE department. We're going to use their Zoom account to host the nom-com process. That's how we'll get around that requirement. We think it'll work really well. We did some practice with it last night. I think it'll more or less be just like nom-com, except instead of being in a physical room, you're going to be in a virtual room. So make sure you test that technology for us. Something else that I really want you to keep in mind and to make sure you're thinking about, at some point in the month of May, we're going to hold at least one, maybe even two practices for all of you to come into the Zoom room, and we're going to practice moving you around through those rooms. We're going to set it up just like it would be in the nom-com situation. I'm going to practice moving you around. We're going to practice with our room monitors. We're going to practice recording the rooms. That way you'll see exactly what it's like. I do not want any of you to show up for nom-com and that be the first time you ever use Zoom or the first time that we've attempted to move you through breakout rooms. So we're going to practice as much as we need to so that you're comfortable and that you're ready for that process. We're going to do the same thing with the committee. They'll just be at a separate time from you. We're not going to do it together, so that there's no communication between you and the committee members. So be on the lookout for some correspondence from us over the next few weeks about another virtual meeting in the month of May to practice all of this. Do any of you have any final questions before we end the call? You can either unmute yourself and ask, or you can put them down in the chat box. We'll give you a few seconds. I know sometimes it takes a minute for the connection to catch up. Do any of the advisors still on the call have any questions before we go? All right, Sarah, I think that's it. So what we'll do, we've recorded this entire meeting. I'll get it downloaded and posted just as soon as my internet capability lets me post it up to YouTube, and we'll make sure that we put it on your candidate training page. Make sure you reference that page regularly because we'll keep updating content there as it's made available for you. Oh, yeah, one more thing, Sarah. Glad you brought that up. Hold on. There you go. There's some contact info for all of us too. Make sure you write down this information.
Hey guys, so I know Caitlin and I, we would love for each of you to text us if you have any questions. Go ahead, if this can be my one request for you today, send Caitlin and I your name, like your first and last name, to each of our numbers, just so that we have you. Texting us is probably going to be the most efficient way to get in contact with us and us get in contact with you. Go ahead and do that, please. Text me and Caitlin and we'll respond. We're usually not, we're stuck at home, so we're not too busy. So yeah, that's all I have. Thank you so much. This was fun. We were nervous about it, but I think it's going really well, and I look forward to getting to know each of you in the coming month.
Thank y'all. If y'all have any questions, let us know. Otherwise, we'll end the call. Y'all have a good day.